Hey everyone, so it's that time for the Arrow Season 4 review. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get started. So overall this season has brought a lot of negative outlooks on the show in general, and I basically want to give my feelings towards Felicity, the season, and how I think it's going to go in the future. Overall, I have to agree with the majority of fans that this season wasn't my favorite. However, it wasn't bad. It wasn't it's as terrible as everyone else is thinking it was. Everyone's saying it's horrible. It should burn in hell. Like, it's not that bad because it kept me entertained throughout the week, and I wanted to keep watching to see what would happen with Damien Dark, to see what would happen with Oliver and the team. The whole entire season, I think the premiere was probably my favorite. They teased the grave. They had fluffy moments with Oliver and Felicity, and they also set up the new Sue and the team, and just everything was built on this one episode, and I really enjoyed watching it. So let's first talk about Oliver, our main character. He started out the season with Felicity, and they were happy, and then he got dragged back by everything that was happening in Star City, and rightfully so. I mean, things were bad. Things were really, really bad. He didn't want to go back to the old ways that he was doing things before. So Felicity said, don't think of the darkness. Don't do that. Just bring hope instead of destruction to the city. And he was like, okay, I'm going to do that. He got a new suit, which I really enjoyed, but I heard they're modifying it in season 5, which I'm not totally disappointed on because, I don't. Anyway, throughout the season, we found out that, Oliver found out that he had a kid, and that kind of brought a big roadblock into this whole happy fluffland, and that's where a lot of people get angry. So the kid concept from the beginning was very messy. Sandra, the mother of William, kept this secret from Oliver for 8 or so years. I think that's how old he is. And it created a huge problem because obviously Oliver didn't know, and now all of a sudden he's a father, and that was just a big revelation for him, and he needed time to process it. However, things went bad really quickly. This all happened during the Flash Arrow crossover event when they were introducing Hawkgirl, Kendra, and we saw a version of reality whenever Oliver told Felicity, or more like Felicity found out through Barry about the kid, and she was reasonably upset because Oliver kind of straight up just said, nothing's going on, type thing. And that created a big rift in their relationship, and then more things led to the whole, everyone's gonna die and Barry had to go back through time, and none of that ever happened. So now Oliver's obviously thinking, I shouldn't tell Felicity because he saw what happened. So that was just the big roadblock, and oh man, this is gonna come back to destroy everything later, isn't it? Before I get more into the whole relationship between Oliver and Felicity and the kid, everything like that, I want to talk about some other characters. Diggle, this season, has been through too much. He's been through a lot, and I feel bad for him. At the beginning of the season, he was a father, and he was really enjoying being a father. He was married to Lila, and it was really cute seeing that, and as the season went on, his life kind of went into rust. At the beginning of the season, Oliver and Diggle's relationship was not good at all. I hated seeing that because Diggle and Oliver are like brothers, and having them fight wasn't fun. After that, things looked up for Diggle. Everything was fine until he found out that his dead brother, Andy, was alive. And oh my god, hated him, didn't trust him from the beginning. Actually, I kind of trust him a little bit, but meh. When Diggle found out that Andy was alive, it was kind of one of those things. It was a very, 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 very bad situation where Andy was obviously not himself. He was being brainwashed by Damien Dark, and what Diggle had to do was something no one should ever have to do. Diggle had to kill his brother, and I was rooting for that. That scene when Andy was taunting Diggle and Diggle had the gun in his hand and he just went pow. I was like, he did it! Yes! But no, but sad for Diggle, but who cares about that because Andy's dead. Anyway, I'm going too far. Let's go back to another character, Thea. Queen Thea this season was dealing with her bloodlust, which I really enjoyed that storyline because we haven't really seen the after effects of the Lazarus Pit yet. We see a little bit with Sarah, but obviously she moved on to a different show, so now we're seeing it more with Thea. She met this other guy because obviously Roy left, which still sad about, but you know, she met this other guy and his name was, oh no, what was his name? Alex. That's his name. She met Alex, and obviously at first we were all like, we don't really trust you, but then he turned out to be good, just a little brainwashed by Damien Dark in the very end. His death, I felt was too easy, right? Like, did anyone else feel that? Like, when he got zapped by Anarchy, I felt like that was too easy and he wasn't dead, but apparently he is, so, say will be. Also, Malcolm was trying, we'll get into Malcolm was trying to be a father, but not doing the best job. He urged her to kill, he drugged her, and he's just a bad guy. He's just a bad guy. Now that we're on the subject of Malcolm, let's talk about him. Malcolm was Malcolm. I liked Malcolm more in season 3 than I did in season 4. I felt season 3 brought out his funny side, and he was less of a enemy and more of an almost like regretful ally in season 3. Season 4 showed his bad side a lot, especially with that whole like trying to like help Damien Dark and stuff like that. And I think the fight on the rooftop between Oliver and Malcolm when he got his arm chopped off, I thought for sure he was gonna die. But then I was like, they wouldn't get rid of John Barrowman, so yeah. But when they cut off his arm, I was like, that I really like that because it inhabits him from doing anything except he can wield a sword, and yeah. Let's talk about Laurel. Every single time I picture or I think of Laurel, I just get a little sad. Rightfully so, but sad. I loved Laurel this season. Gotta admit, season 2 and season 3, I didn't really like her that much. She just, it was kind of one of those things, if you watch Teen Wolf, you don't necessarily like Allison at certain points in season 2, season 3-ish. Like, it just becomes like one of those things where you just don't really, you don't hate the character, it's just you don't enjoy seeing them at the moment. That's what happened with me with Laurel in season 2 and season 3. But in season 4, she kicked ass. She was so good, and I feel like the one thing they could have done with her character, especially because we know that she was the one that died, was give her more story. I think overall they didn't. They gave her story. Obviously they did, but I wanted there to be more focus on her because she was the one that died. I wanted more of her. That's about it. Lance has been through. I'm having a hard time formulating words with Lance right now because I keep thinking about like his reaction to Laurel. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go from the beginning. We found out Lance at the beginning was working with Damien Dark, but it seemed like, you know, he was working with him reluctantly. Like, he didn't want to work with him. It was just a big shocker. I was like, what? Lance, what are you doing? You know he's bad. But Damien Dark was threatening his daughter, and obviously he had to do something about that. And the whole scene, whenever Oliver found out that Lance was working undercover, and they had like the big chat in the apartment, Anyway, I thought Paul Blackthorne this whole season, the acting, these are okay. This is top notch. He did such a good job, especially when he realized that Laurel was gone, and when you saw him go into the hospital and like fall. Oh, that's what killed me. If you go back, I'm like moving my chair around. If you go back and watch my reaction, you can see at that moment I'm done. Like, I don't pay attention to the rest of the episode because that's all I can pay attention. Like, I didn't focus on anything else that night because of what happened. Anyway, I want to do some quick character spots, including Damien Dark. Overall, as a villain, he wasn't. I'm trying to like not. He wasn't the best villain out of all the ones that we had, but he wasn't horrible. he was a good villain. You got scared at him at some points when he was doing his magic and stuff like that. I thought giving him a wife and a daughter was a very, like, interesting choice with his character, because usually people who want to just get rid of the world or start over are alone because they got hurt in the past. But Damien Dark had a wife, had a child, but still wanted to do that, and I thought that was a very interesting key for his character. Curtis is a new character that we have this season and is now a series regular, which I'm really happy about. But overall, I loved him. Like, I wouldn't change it. I mean, obviously you're going to change thinking about a character, but I wouldn't change a thing about it because he showed constant support, and he was like the audience voice. He didn't choose sides. He has a husband that obviously that relationship is great, and I'm so excited to see what happens with him in season 5. Mama Smoke was also a big part of the season. I've never really liked Mama Smoke, but the relationship between her and Lance was very fun, and seeing Laurel and Felicity's reaction was awesome. And I'm glad that Mama Smoke was like a constant variable. I'm going to do Felicity now because I'm going to talk about Felicity and her character development. I'm also going to integrate that into the whole Felicity just madness that happened and give my stance on what I personally think of the whole storyline in general. So Felicity at the beginning of the season was basically herself, but I liked how she was the one who wanted to go back to the team, and Oliver was kind of reluctant, but she was like, I miss saving people, and I liked that she was the one that kind of brought Oliver back and wanted him to basically look, you had darkness, you were stood for darkness before, but now stand for hope, and hope was a big prospect of the whole season, and I like how they first introduced that with Felicity. One of the big things for me this season was hoping that Felicity was not the one in the grave. I can admit there were certain times when I thought she was, and I was very nervous, but she ended up not being the one in the grave, and I'm really glad because she is my favorite character on the show. In the mid-season finale, Felicity got shot in the back region from Damien Dark, and when that happened, I was very upset, and I knew she was going to be paralyzed, because that's kind of the thing that you do. The one thing I wish they could have done better, along with a couple other things, is they should have put her in the wheelchair more. I felt like, of course, they brought attention to it, and they did a few episodes with her in the wheelchair and basically showing the struggles of that, and I liked that. But I felt like she should have been in there. Well, she shouldn't, obviously, but I felt story-wise she could have been in there a little longer for it to drag out and show more struggle with it. Now going back to the whole Oliver kid, Felicity thing, just that whole situation. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit and go to the scene where Oliver and Felicity officially break up. I feel like if I was in Felicity's shoes, if I was Felicity and all the stuff that happened to me on Arrow and past tense stuff happened, I probably would have done the same thing. Maybe not the same way she did it, but I would have done the same thing. I think whenever Felicity broke up with Oliver, it was a little bit too soon after everything that happened, especially because we just found out that Oliver's not going to see William until he's 18, and maybe not even then. When Felicity came rolling in and basically said, look, you kept a secret from me, it's over, took the ring on the table, left, I felt like it was too soon. Would have done the same thing a couple hours or maybe a couple days in advance? Yes, because of everything that happened with Felicity and the amount of times that Oliver has lied to her, the amount of times that she has experienced betrayal in her life. Obviously, she's going to want to do something to get back control, to want to be like, hey, I need to figure myself out before I need to do anything else. Anyway, after that, we see every single character. I'm not shying away. Every single character kind of get hit with an emotional wall, and it was very dark. It wasn't as dark as it was in season 2, season 1, but emotionally and mentally, it was raw, and it was a struggle to get through. When we found out Laurel died, first of all, there was a leaked picture, and apparently everyone knew, but I stay away from spoilers, so I didn't know. I had the inking suspicion that it was going to be her. I just didn't want to believe it, and then it happened. I thought Laurel's death, I felt like it could have been more nobler. Kind of like her, I want maybe her to save someone as she's dying or something like that. Not saying her death was like bad, but it was more, I wanted more from it. You know, I wanted more of, I think it's just the stem from I wanted more of her in the whole season. But I think the death scene was so heartbreaking, and Lance's reaction was so heartbreaking, and everything was so heartbreaking. Anyway, moving on, the finale, the end of the season, we find these characters in all very rough spots, and obviously Damien Dark is killed, and Diggle decides to quit the team, you know, temporarily. Obviously he's going to come back. But he decides to quit the team and kind of like, I need to take back control of my life. I need to do something different. So he moves on, and we see him take an army back. So obviously he's going to the army, which will be interesting. Thea obviously needs to collect herself with the whole bloodlust thing and losing Alex and her father. It's mentally exhausting and physically exhausting. So she needs to take a step back from the vigilanting and do her own thing and find herself, which I'm glad that they're doing. So now this just leaves Oliver and Felicity left on the team, and they're going to be here for a while. I'm not sure how much time's going to pass through going into season 5, but we'll find out. And obviously, things are going to be different between them. I feel like in the future with them, they're going to worry about first being teammates, then being friends, and then maybe hopefully going on to their relationship again. Because I love them together and their end game. That's my personal opinion. I'm not trying to get anyone angry, but that's my personal opinion. I really like them together, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I'm very excited to see what happens in season 5. I see a lot of the actors have been like tweeting about it and showing pictures, and I think that they're really enjoying filming it, and I'm excited to see it. I have no idea what's going to happen. I haven't seen the sizzle reel from Comic-Con, but because I don't like spoilers, but I want October to come because that's when it's going to start. Thank you for watching, and if you want to see my previous reaction, which is actually what is it? Oh, yeah. It's a Flash Season 2 review. All you have to do is click the link in the description, and as always, I will see you next time.